Cosa chica da grava? Chica da Sure. Take a seat. Be comfortable. There, blankets in the back. Cool. Mi manchevi? Selja ti yapota yomaro. Chezan di derin zego yoba. Hechi yoba mi mancheva hago yomaro.
말했다가 주디 사는 거.
신
좋으면도.
너무
사람은 또 뭐지 대시.
네.
시험만 받는 시험 시험.
예, 네.
그래서 세자 다이지 다들 아린 되죠 말. 아이 고조식이다.
I'm going to get started now.
Yes. Udaba jonde ne deshi sheva rajoba yanda zobe reba da jazo demba devara sheva jide jemba jevo duve kalo jiro lana meba lana mena jomba sanje jonde de ve jeva shaja duba la jaza lo jodo jazo Dhamma jonde de jin shimo rajumba yanda bo zobe sangye riba dan shazu dhamma devar shib jidin jemba jivu duve kalu yuba lana meba lana menam je dhamma sangye awa shaja duba la chaze lo jodo jabu je Ande gani zo jedane Kajen de la gomba dumburne Mani chitin de na choji son Tese jebo jela ja zelo Nanda boa chodu suzanwa Ishi jazo senje lumbunda Raba jide zona lamewa Gombo juni jela ja zelo Senjo demba jime dawe Sendo rawa jela ja zelo Dede jena seba sunaji Nyame jini jela ja zelo Gombo tuji jelemba Tamji chembe tumba mo Sona yende yazo che Dejin shela ja Tabe deja trewa gyur gewe nyezon lero Jido dana chigyo ashi yu jela cha zelo Chone chobe la yande Lama dala radune Shingi damba yende Gindu la ya cha zelo Diva chiyam meja shin Gewa bunsum sobar gyur Rangi sene yonzu du dene sanji tembayi karma rabri gyuma seba chu dam milan lodan tindabu dije chunam veda dam sonam di tamji sebayi goba dune genje dadu de Gadan nadan chive apchule Sive foler
To the founder, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the flow destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, nor of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. When the supreme among humans, you were born on this earth, you paced out 7 strides, then said, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise then, I prostrate. With pure bodies, form supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best, Lord, to you I prostrate. With the supreme signs, face like the spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. You are immaculate, 3 worlds are not, incomparably wise one, to you I prostrate. The Savior having great compassion, the Founder having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean, to you, the one God of thusness, I prostrate. The purity which makes one free from attachment, the virtue which frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime pure reality, to that Dharma which pacifies, I prostrate. Those who are liberated and who also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you, the sublime community intending virtue, I prostrate. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions, subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a mirage, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud, see conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all-seeing, subdue the foe of faults, and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by waves of aging, sickness, and death.
Miyamada nyambenga dunga tamje radu shebar chebenga midwena temba shebar chade parudu chebenga meba dayata gade gade para sangade buddhi somo sherabu chandu samba samba teta sherake parudu chemba sambola labar chao tene chomdende tenge zentele shende sanju samba samba chembo Vajire de wanju la leso, she chawa shine leso, rigi hu de shino de shin de jida gyoge ba shin de. Shera je parado chimba samola che barachade, de sheba namkyan jesu iramo. Chomden dege je ka zene tsedan demba shere da de bodan chanjo samba jembo baba chere se wanju dan hamje dan dembe. Nidan hama yidan tisa jebe jiden yir chumden deji sumba la ngomba de to.
Page 11. Thus I have heard, once the Blessed One was dwelling in Rajgiriha on Vulture's Peak, together with a great assembly of monks and bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One was totally absorbed in the concentration that examines all phenomena, called profound illumination. And at the same time, the noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, was engaged in the profound practice of the wisdom gone beyond, analyzing the five aggregates by nature empty. Then, through the inspiration of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra spoke to the noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, saying, how should those of good family learn who wish to follow the profound practice of the wisdom gone beyond? Thus he spoke, and the noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, replied to the Venerable Shariputra, saying, O Shariputra, whatever son or daughter of good family wishes to follow the profound practice of the wisdom gone beyond, should look at it like this, analyzing the five aggregates by nature empty. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is no other than form. Form is no other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, recognition, karmic formations, and consciousness are all empty. Therefore, Shariputra, all phenomena are empty without characteristics. They are unborn and unceasing. They are neither impure nor free from impurity. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no recognition, no karmic formations, no consciousness. There is no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind. There are no spheres of the eyes up to no spheres of the mind. There are none of these all the way up to the sphere of mental consciousness. There is no ignorance, nor is there destruction of ignorance. There are none of these all the way up to, there is no old age and death, nor is there destruction of old age and death. Thus there is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no cessation of suffering, and no path. There is no wisdom, no attainment, and no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, because there is no attainment, all bodhisattvas who hold the wisdom gone beyond of mind, they have no fear. Passing utterly beyond falsity, they reach beyond the bounds of sorrow. All the Buddhas who dwell in the three times, by relying on the wisdom gone beyond, fully and clearly awaken to unsurpassed, most perfect and complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of the wisdom gone beyond, the mantra of great insight, the unequaled and unsurpassed mantra, the mantra that calms all suffering should be known as the truth, for there is no deception. The mantra of the wisdom gone beyond is proclaimed. O Shariputra, this is how a Bodhisattva Mahasattva should learn the profound wisdom gone beyond. Then the Blessed One arose from that concentration and praised the noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, saying, very good, O son of good family. It is exactly like that. The profound wisdom gone beyond should be practiced exactly as you have said, and then the Tathagatas would rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, the Venerable Shariputra, the noble Avalokiteshvara, that whole gathering in the world with its gods, men, anti-gods, and spirits, their hearts full of joy, praise the words of the Blessed One. So ends the noble discourse on the essence of the wisdom gone beyond. Yes.
장아 태병.
아,
네, 태병.
이거. 아, 이거. 다른 들은 이동 이슈 없이 다른 로고 that's the chat. Rest that is a book juju to that resolution.
Now it is the new year, and it's the beginning of the new year on a Thursday, and we resume the way of the Bodhisattva.
Oh, yeah, that the 좀 당나서 개체쇼도 가르친다. 단도 준죽세리 자세 정주선의 저벌로 주바 대외세 스틱세 장주선바 스틱세 아니 저바스 라주바스 식시고는 뜻이 다 준죽 주시 주제 차단되는 여러 소스.
And most importantly, in the way of the Bodhisattva, there are four principal parts, all contained in the title. It is the way of the heirs to the Buddha, and it is entered upon. That is, it is the heirs of the Buddha, the Bodhisattvas. Thus, heirs to the Buddha, Bodhisattvas, it is a training, and it is entered into. All this contained in the title.
오야 제가 다디 색디 고디자바 다 준죽디기 루죽이 전다처럼 색시리나 여러 소스.
And thus, when you understand these, all found in the title, then the 10 chapters of the text thereby are also found in these four parts of the very title itself.
오야 때문에 고데말라도 다 수디라도 한번 장주부스도 톱적이 산게 있고 반체 장주 셈바스도 텔라람 얘기 아니 장주 셈바 자자제 선주 산지지 고마 토발라 로버치 얘기 장주 셈바 제가 톱제 장주 톱제 장주 뒤 토발치 얘기 아니 장주 셈바세 니제 아니 가르치고 그랬으나 내가 콘도 내가 가르쳤으나 아니 저발라 로버스 장주 셈베 저바스 너무 달라비야 시디세 내가 콘도 달 자야스나 달라비야스나 시디 장주 셈베 저바세 아니 텔라 주바스 좀마다 장주 셈베 저바티 아니 랑이 필라 토벌 제바 랑라 예 저바데 랑라 라면 장주 고마 토벌 제바스 어떤 데시는 단다 돈다데가 레스로스.
Then the four begin with the mind of enlightenment, bodhicitta, that is the state to be achieved. And it is achieved by the person who undertakes the training in the mind of awakening, this bodhisattva. And where it begins as a training and what it entails in a training is all the training and the education that make up the basis for the achievement of the mind of awakening. They're in these three parts. And when one engages in this education, in this training, by achieving or developing the mind of awakening in one's own continuum, this is to enter upon the education of the Bodhisattva to the achievement of the mind of awakening.
다 데데디 좀마다 간다 간데스타 이 된다 저제디 아니 류죽은 나는다 간데스트 시점이 시그레스나 다 당고 장주 셈다 장주 버게 장주 산지지 고마 토벌 제발라 장주 셈 줄라 깨버려 장주 셈 줄라 맞게나 단 산지지 고마 토기 매바 직체 다 대사도 장주심 줄라 깨버 제발라 뭐 장주심 줄라 깨버 제발라 장주심 편시해 버려 장주심 깨 쪼고 요래 어디 용어가 지도라 내 장주심 편시해 지도 알로 담보디 시기 어려서
In these four, then, all 10 of the chapters of the way of the Bodhisattva are found, and how these 10 chapters are presented in and found within the title itself begin with the mind of awakening itself, the achievement of the state of Buddhahood, being that which is to be achieved. It is achieved only through first the development of the mind of awakening. Where the mind of awakening is absent, there can be no achievement of the state of Buddhahood. So therefore, first the mind of awakening must be developed. In order to develop it, then one must first understand the advantages of developing it. One must develop an enthusiasm for producing the mind of awakening. And thus, the topic of the first chapter of the Way of the Bodhisattva, which speaks of the advantages of the mind of awakening.
다른에 류니버디 아니 자주선 귤을 깨라다 초 소놈다 이식 초사고 유디 아니 소놈 초사야 조 때문에 차는 류니버 초사야다 아니 지바자야 거다니 류니버의 수고요래서.
And of the second chapter, for the development of the mind of awakening, there must be sufficient collection of the accumulations of merit and wisdom. And especially in the second chapter, practices for the development of the accumulation of merit are presented.
일단 루스바디가는 자주선다 간데슬람 보고 유메 자주선 토비아 돈발랑은 쥐어발라 라비아 이도다 루스바디 시기어래서.
And then for the adoption of the formal vows of the mind of awakening, how it is, how they are to be adopted, and then put into practice, the topic itself of the third chapter.
다른에 루시바디기 다 자주 쌤 돈발랑 안 돈발다 자세 쥐어발라 라비 쥐어발라 라비에 마냐마 원 받네바 쳐야지. 아니 바이오기 뉴스 바다 쥐어바 고스미 쥐어바 바이오바 얘나 아니 자주 쌤 쥐어발라 랍두고 이어봐 고스미 쥐어바디 아니 바이오제니 매나 아니 자주 쌤 쥐어발라 랍두고 매바 셰어 차네 아니 루시바 바이오기 루시 시기 어려서.
In the fourth chapter, following the adoption of the vows of the Bodhisattva, in order to preserve the mind of awakening, conscientiousness is presented, conscientiousness that entails that consideration of body actions, of body, speech, and mind, where there is this conscientiousness regarding actions of body, speech, and mind, then one will be able to train in the mind of awakening. But where this conscientiousness is absent, then the training too in the mind of awakening will be absent.
다 먼저 간다 친다 루시바디 바이오기 다 바이오기 루디 먼저 다 진짜 뭐 진짜 셰어 참여도 가서 바이오기 루나라 레데요래서.
And it is here in the fourth chapter concerning conscientiousness that we find ourselves, and remaining for us are these topics of the fourth chapter concerning conscientiousness. This is where we find ourselves now.
일단 루시바나레 코스 바나로 데센로 숨로 치온두자마다 당부디 아니 룹자 라발라 삼네 장주 새벽에 쪄바다 라발라 삼네 아니 장주 셈다 숭야 치도 장주 셈지 숭 두야 치도라 장주 새벽에 쪄바도 랍쳐보 야쳐보 요야 아니 쪄바 셴라 펜바 셴기 치도 셴기 셴도 두바 치도 줘야 아니 쪄바 야쳐보 요야 그주간가 아니 방향 요때 맞들라 되는 연구가 해서
Bayan.
바이오.
The fourth chapter composed itself of 3 sections. Involved in the first section for the achievement of an education in the way of the Bodhisattva, the mind of enlightenment, for the preservation of that mind of awakening, for the recognition of the blessedness of the mind of awakening, the advantages of the mind of awakening, and so that the mind of awakening may serve the well-being of others and be vast as it does so, the consideration of conscientiousness.
다 이제 디오데가 가리 버렸으나 다 디오드만 아니 다 말한다 단다 반대 톱 집에 밀루대요 아니 뭐마 저라 뭐마 남술라 바이오 때 말라 때는 달린 가나도 밀루토면 가나도 야요 에 뭐발라 밀루토베야 토베야 좀 제야지도 바이오 고기요 봐 다다 밀루테야 바이오 때 말되는 토바 어디시든 대조기 아주 대조기 밀루 대조기 밀루 상와디 뭐기 바이오 때 말되는 토바당 마오발라 밀루 토바 고기요나 양 아니 이 바이오 때 고기요 봐 어디시 어떤 sabjeni bana dişe yoreso.
Following this, then, in the second section of the chapter on conscientiousness, the recognition that the present human body is had by us now as a result of our having practiced a conscientiousness in our past. To have the human biological endowment is to find the very result of the practice in the past of conscientiousness. And when again our objective is to find again the human endowment, it serves us then in the present to practice conscientiousness again. For the human endowment, with its leisures and the 10 endowments, that is a basis and a support that is complete for our practices. It is as a result of our past practice of conscientiousness. And if we wish again for a human endowment, we would practice conscientiousness. And so the content of the second section of the chapter
거의 그 주가 가든 가지고 마다 사자와다 가가 자네다 가든 사점을 더 살아. 다 디니마 가릴레게서 다 방제 니모로 삼네. 방제 니모로 삼네. 아니 방제 방주다 남냠주 남주 무슨 뭐 셰야 된다라. 나가서 단다 루시 시박 매제를 내고요. 그래서
and these topics, these sections, we have covered as we covered the root verses themselves. And we find ourselves now in the third section concerning the mental defilements, the klesha, that are to be abandoned, and the practices which are to be adopted in order to abandon those very mental afflictions. And so we find ourselves toward the end now of the fourth chapter on conscientiousness.
Oh yeah, that's the 제가 인도에만 당하나도 바유 댄스야다 바유 댄스야도 저 저거 무슨 그 저거 아니 바유 봐 밤에 봤어 저거 바유 제봐도 저거 밤에 제봤어 제가 당하나도 단다봐도 저거 밤에 저거 때라 라발라 하나도 통모에 가는 검대였다 쌤나 검시 친구 열에 강에 요 말. 아 고슨 그 저거 바유 라라베디 나도 단다 검이요 말. 마고바 인다 나라도 더 클럽하고 되게 지금 무슨 저바 있네 자 아니 지금 바게다 하나도 고슨 저배 나네다 이나는 얘기 저바 다지 바게 얘기 저바 라고야 망고죠 그래서 누가 하나도 마고바 이비 아니 단다 시다 봐야 때 갈래하고 그래서
The practice of conscientiousness, what is meant in the expression conscientiousness, is consideration in physical, verbal, and mental action. There may be conscientiousness in physical, verbal, and mental action. There may as well be negligence in physical, verbal, mental action. And that negligence we are already very accustomed to from beginnings. We have grown familiar with it. It is no trouble at all for us to be negligent. More difficult for us is to ever practice any conscientiousness. This is the difficulty. And of conscientiousness that would be physical, verbal, and mental, of these three, it is especially difficult, the practice of conscientiousness that is mental. And there are involved in the development of mental conscientiousness many trainings.
당연한 좀 이제 랑 배전 이제 쉬면다가 당연한 주인 냠내 진이 왜나 먼저 직대배 양답에 따와서 직대를 대배 양답에 따와서 어떻게 니친 안지 시계です직대배 양답에 따와서 이게 아니 말하도 니모 그래서 빵 토고 말했대 니모도 말 총을 가야다 니모도 야게 맞줘야 해야지 직대배 따와서 지토고 그랬어 제 지들이 대비 양답에 따왔으나 아니 니모 자원 방투에 여봐 되게 냠내 찬데 대시 자단 지겨래서
There is the presentation of conscientiousness according to the textual tradition, and I won't delve into that just now, but referring to ordinary practices, then there are two forms of practice of conscientiousness, that in accordance with mundane correct view, and that in accordance with transmundane or supramundane correct view. This first ordinary right view or correct view is a practice for the reduction of afflicted minds, klesha, but not for the thoroughgoing and entire elimination of all mental afflictions, but for the reduction in mental afflictions and the prevention of new mental afflictions from arising. This is possible according to and following the mundane correct view. And the transmundane or transcendental right view entails the actual thorough elimination of the klesha afflicted minds.
배당도 방제 니모도 내가 마이케바 제바당 땐 게메가 차바 니 여러 와서 제가 내가 마이케바 제야지 지금에 따와도 지투고 그랬어 다 때니 마이케바 최고에는 지들을 연다고 따와더니 말에는 때니 내가 소투고 말해서
Afflicted minds that are to be eliminated may be temporarily eliminated, or their elimination may be lasting. Their temporary elimination may be achieved through ordinary correct view, but their lasting and complete elimination will only be eliminated through that transmundane correct view.
다 근데 이들이 저들이 되겠다 가는 숨어서 바이오스에도 갈래지레스 저었다 모두 도바지로다 바이오스나 갈래지레스 수스는 도바스기 안 저어던도 바이오스나 가레스 저어던으로 왔어 제가 디 딜에 좀 되게 레이저도 삼바 아니 디 바이오 모드시도 삼바 아니 레이저가 밀라도 니제 튼조 여러 말로 튼조스로 튼조네 아니 삼무다마 찍 가존 삼무다마 니 삼무다체네 아니 바이오 시작이 어래서
튼쇼던 가초
뭐 가죠
튼쇼데 라 아니 튼바체네
튼바체
라
먼저 주제 주초는 가쇼는 세죠 어디로는 뭐 튼조 찍어라 와 주초는 아니 되게 삼무들의 땅으로 가존 삼무들의 땅으로 세죠 어디
to put the Bhagavan's own description of conscientiousness, which the Bhagavan presented in response to a question that was asked of him, what is conscientiousness? The question was asked. A questioner had a doubt and spoke it in the question, just what is conscientiousness, put to the Buddha Bhagavan. And the Buddha Bhagavan replied to provide that first introduction as to conscientiousness in what it entails. And that reply had two parts. That reply came two ways. The first way regarding that which is to be adopted or accomplished regarding conscientiousness. And the second, that which is to be annulled, that which is to be denied regarding conscientiousness.
다 루조는 아니 내 간대죠. 다 뭐죠 간대체에서나 아니 다 당부 개치슈도 가라에서 당부디 수수기 셈 치질로도 집박 랑게 셈도 당부 뒤와 쳐버려서 랑게 셈도 뒤고래서 직제 다 랑게 셈 뒤사나 아니 신기 셈 송화 치투고 신기 셈 제수 집박 치투고 요라서 니 있어서 아마
신기 셈 럽나 수수기 심
뭐
사솔라 심은 더 마보요.
랑게 셈 슬라와
드네 신 러.
아니 신기 셈지 송화 셈어서 제수 집박서 그래 신기 셈라 아니 송화도 제수 집박 치투고래서
아니 디디안 다보 기야 얘기 된다 말와. 신돈 르비기 된다 말와.
다 신도 두배 된다 저거라 이 수송화서 ਪਹਿਲਾਂ 랑게 셈 뒤와서 랑게 셈 뒤잖아 랑게 셈 야보지 뒤잖아 아니 신기 셈 뒤와다 신기 셈 제수 집박도 연구를 왔어 니체 아니 니 디로 디니체 아니 니모라 가와 세바스 하나도 다들 셈데 가르쳐졌으나 니모 촐 하장이 니모라 가오요 베데자도 코노가지 가오요로 어디 가와 세워서 그바 내려서 봐라 야 아니 최를 제수 주바스 다 최를 가서 동반이다 전주기 셈라 이제 로벨 제수 주바스 어디 시고네 아니 바이오 때문에 중요해서
제선디네 접자기 찬.
그렇죠.
접자기 찬네. In the Buddha Bhagavan's response regarding that which is to be achieved, that which may be achieved through conscientiousness, the Bhagavan spoke most importantly of the correction of incorrect view in order to pacify and subdue one's own mind. Following the subduing of one's own mind, then one is capable of caring for, adopting the welfare of others. Then the first and the second part, just so, followed again by the observation that we are accustomed to, familiar with, and fond of, in fact, our afflicted minds that animate us with anger and with desirous attachment and the like, and these are to be expunged, these are to be eliminated. When these are eliminated, we may enter into an appreciation, we may appreciate the practices of the Dharma that entail meditations in emptiness, meditations in the mind of awakening. These four parts then, in the response of the Bhagavan regarding that which is to be achieved through conscientiousness.
다 루조네 시송다 다 지나지 가초네 가초네 아니 바야때 고박 바야때 고박이다 인생도스나다 두버도 시수여로 딜라 가서 다 당보들라 데벌 넘버 또봐 데벌 넘버 또봐 넘버 6 가봐 직세 아니 네베 셈지 넘버 또봐 네베 셈지 넘버 또봐니 6 가봐세 아니 넘버 7 그러다 공들 네 timu ge number to ba da mo yo ra o de ju wa zu pa me ba cha so ba se ani chu shi mai ba yi la cha ba da do te da dan zin zu zo dan zin de zu wa da dan jik da da zin zu chu shi mai ba yi la cha ba number tu ba ka ba ani di bo da me ge cho la number ju ba ka ba so de ji jun ji shi ko ne ha yo ten ko ba yan ba yo tu ko ba sung yo re so
아니 더발라 넘버 더자 넘버
또
로 넘버 더발라나 네
넘버 또
넘버 더발 남다 만다 마보요
남도 뭐요
로 직제 더자라 드네 너슴라 직제 드네 티모기 드네
아니
시버디
수시 많이 봤다 수시 많이 봤을 때 단진단 주여와 단진진다 단진 수시 아니 디보다 미겨와 넘버 2가 다 셈 남도 2가 망보여와 어디도 까봐 제바디 아니 바유 된 거가 어디 숨 거야 그래서
Concerning conscientiousness that annuls for practices, then the Bhagavan pointed out. These are the Bhagavan's very reasons and arguments for the implementation of a conscientiousness, of conscientiousness. They are first that we have a proliferation of discursivity leading to desirous attachment. These are all to be eliminated. We too have a proliferation of discursiveness, conceptuality, causing a maliciousness. These two are to be eliminated. Our ignorance gives rise to many forms of discursive fictions. These two are to be eliminated. And fourth, improper bearing, that is principally maintaining a view of an ostensibly real self, the view of the transitory collection. These, which are improper and incorrect, are to be eliminated. And so to investment in negative deeds and non-virtues. Conscientiousness is employed in order to annul these.
다 today 바유 생이디 아주 빼빼나 아주 단지 다음에 또 배셔라다 다음에 또 배셔라면 단지 바깥이야다 단지지나 근데 신지지기 사주sem도이나 랑지지기 로카토야 근데 여러 바야디 되게까지 말해 이나야 바야디 가르쳐 당하는 셈 남도 주어 먹어줘 되자고 왕게 아니 베트남도 먹어요 콩도 왕게 대배상 셈진 군지 먹어줘야 팀으로 왕게 먹어버리는 거기 남도 먹어줘라 어 디주 남도 주어 남도 봐 유튜브에 만내 봐 제디 아유 지그래서
When we speak of conscientiousness, where there are views such as the view of a self, or selfhood, and there are the wisdoms of realizing the absence of any such self, it is this wisdom realizing the absence of the self that actually eliminates the discursive conceptual fictions, and it's not per se conscientiousness itself that does this. It is the mind of awakening bodhicitta that divests us from prejudiced self-interest and not conscientiousness per se. However, from desirous attachment stem all sorts of conceptual fictions. From anger, all sorts of resentments. From ignorance, a whole host of conceptual thoughts and fictions. Those that will go uncontrolled and unmoderated are better controlled through conscientiousness.
다 저다 바야 생이도 이어봐이나 아니 바야 반다다 바유 때문이나 고승기 쪄바디 아니 그랑 고승기 쪄바디 가데 유목 철로 마다 아니 개회 철로 유르투야 여바디 바유 쪄바디 지기어래 제가 거기 가르치겠습니다 하게 유목 철로 유래 셈 유어디 바까 아니 다 셈이야 개회 철로 해디 다 바유디 지그레스 제산데 바유디 다 대체 뭐 이상이 달려 시바나 된도 시기열에서
With conscientiousness, employing conscientiousness, physical, verbal, and mental actions may be turned toward virtues and turned away from non-virtues. This turning toward virtues is brought about by conscientiousness. Conscientiousness does this. It turns the mind toward virtue, away from non-virtues. And for this reason, as this turning the mind in this direction is critical, for this reason, then, the fourth chapter is concerned with just this conscientiousness.
that ring of the developing to without it, the more that the German you say, and ring on the time, John Planning. And that gets it to go in, because they share it down. And in 10 minutes, and in that, lost our that in the matches, got the leaders and got to it. And in that council, that lost our because not consent, so can give us that to a years or
We won't go into any of the root verses of the text tonight. We'll leave that for next week. If you have any questions, then we may have a discussion now. With this class now begun, we have begun this new year in an auspicious way. And I hope that all of you during your holidays enjoyed a very joyful holiday. And I, for my part, enjoyed the new year here in the monastery. And coming soon is the Tibetan New Year.
아니 로사와도 로사와스나 간다다 로 뒤즈고도 저되기 얼마도 지금 아니 수수니 다 이제 주어도 땅토나니 수수 땅주를 땅마다는 로 뒤즈나 지고도 거기 브라데 지고래서 뭐
A new year comes and then another new year comes and time goes by just like that. And if in the time that passes, no transformation is brought to pass, then our lives go, our time goes just as years go round and round.
어이 갖다 로 도스코레저가 뒤즈지 계절 왔다 뒤즈 로직스도 뒤즈지 민을다 나도 뒤즈를 가진 걸 망고듯이 옆사로 지금 아주 뒤즈 통해서는 까마지 뒤즈지 아니 마치 다지 로직스는 디니파트는 미럽직 드럽직 아니 개바직 계진직 스타 뒤즈버는 뒤즈를 너무 개발 민 다줘져서
The new year is just this, a measure of time. A year is passing, a year being the name given to a certain length of time. As we've already gone through many descriptions of time, the time that is of the shortest span of seconds and minutes and days and weeks and months and years, and then years that make up generations and generations that make up millennia and onward toward eons and so on, every one of which is another name given to a duration for time.
이제 세단다 뒤수 수수기 뒤즈디 배제 땅야 뒤즈디 촐라만도 뒤즈디 하기 고급len 투야기 치도라 냠니 지기나 그냥 아주 최나다 뒤대 기지마다 자조지 기지 마세는 냠네들이 좋게 거래서
The time, though, then put to some use, not allowed to go to waste. The time, from the time, extracted the opportunity of that time. With that, then we might speak of the we may speak of time in terms of the time required to complete an event.
어이 땅아도 조, 난 냠내 주서마 저직 조베 깨지면서는 저 조베 깨지면 퉁슈도 가르는 없었어. 아주 깔짜 찍스로 가르자가 빼져나는 또 승부도 또 디사다. 그 주제로 뭐 누구로 쓰지나 깔짜 찍디 저직 조베 주제 퉁슈도 대체 다 주제 깨지면서는 어디 전쟁이 깨지면 별로 깔짜 찍라야 배 주제 고시겠네. 주제 퉁슈도 배 깔짜 찍라 차 퉁슈를 해가 바꿔요. 그거에 때는 차지가 안에 되게지 마스. 나도 드시잖아. 내 레송스.
Today, I'm not carrying tani diane similar
뒤기 타마기지.
to Tama read. Alan.
뒤기
No,
타마기지.
The time to complete an action is often described as having, as its shortest duration, the amount of time it takes to snap one's fingers, about a second. Within that, divided again 65 times, one finds the limit for the time of shortest duration.
어이, 세상 다 아주 뒤대기지 마디 가르치는 고기 어렸으나 아주 깨시다, 치시다, 아주 밀어 깨워 세바 내배 깨워 그리고 괜히 동의시를 깨워 내봐 가와 치워 시어로 와서도 깨치니부터 뒤대기지만 나가려 어렸어. 깨워다 치워 이부터 치에 대비 까만 세금지만도 영을 시야라 아니 깨워도 들어가는 두번 끼도 들어 제가 그 뒤대기지만 이도 애들도 시야 지도를 뒤대기지만 야고 고쳐고 개치 뭐 해서
The purpose of indicating a shortest moment in time is to, in order to be informative regarding the moment of birth and the moment of death. One is born in a moment that is the moment of shortest duration. Born, then lives during the span of life that is birth, aging, entails illness, and culminates in death. Death, too, occurs in this shortest duration of time, and it's to indicate just this, that moment, that shortest moment in which the birth occurs and the death occurs, that we speak of these.
제가 근데 이제 좀 냠내 지니는 다 계시니 냠내 지고야 망고 이제 뒤들어 뒤대기지만 뭐 시행과 개침보래 아니 저나도 뒤를 거난 시행 랑 냠내 고조도 뒤를 냠내 지고 이제 아니 자조 그지만 돼야 시행과 개침보래 제가 뒤주 뭐 시행 지도라 아니 자조 지기지만 뒤대기지만 아삼 어디나 뒤니 아니 냠내 지고 요래서
And there are many practices which are informed by some notion of time, a notion of time that gives some sensibility to an action that would be completed in a given time, and the events that occur in a shortest span of time. In order to grasp such events and such activities, there are these, namely, time for the completion of an action, time that is the shortest span, these, for instance, to give us a sense of the activities and events that are relevant to us.
Boy, and 저 있는 대샤나 미국한테 사실은 참고시 로켓 대샤스 온 대나서 맨날 아니는 말한테 저거
Now, if you have any questions, then now is the time. And if there are no questions, then we can conclude a bit early because my throat is hurting and I have a cold. So if there are no questions, then we can conclude with our closing prayers.
So start.
So let's hear it. With a clap, let's hear a question.
아니 처음에는 아니 주제 conseil dans os le conseil 인선.
So if there are no questions, then let's recite our closing prayers, and then we have some more vacation time yet. Let's enjoy our New Year's vacation.
야, 아니면 좀 쉬고 중이 있더라고.
Page 12.
베네렌도 벨레토니 가다르 양보 간시 사바데 로메 마레 게존 로와이 남렌 게웨 옴보다게지 데마 즈베 세로 군도냐 자베 양기 세웨 제존네 Tebe rinpo kuzan lamji jo, nyene rupe gena nyeche jo. Rangi jijin tobe lamji ne, chura tsewe tangwe talgi gi. Gowe igi mba seje ne, gyawe temba yulin zinju chi. Tembo rinje chote ma chamba, chabya nyambo girve chote. Ye jembe yera kyawa ye, pede deze sewara chewa sho. Seje gyawe me jon chile le ju janju lamge rembe yang. Radu namge yera pede Yahweh Teba Rindu Gyongyo Je Lamsan Rube Tungyen Rubje Jin Gegen Seje Midam Mime Gun Serap Kundu Yahweh Mahwa Yi Namda Lamdan Trevara Magyure Je Kanze Tekwa Chola Chuju Je Sushin Rula Tsumba Deyi Se Tukten namge tatun roje je, tashi gyasu chogun From my two collections, vast space that I have amassed from working with effort at this practice for a great length of time, may I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose mind's wisdom eye is blinded by ignorance. Even if I do not reach this state, may I be held in your loving compassion for all my lives, Manjushri. May I find the best of the paths of the complete teaching, and may I please all the Buddhas by practicing. Using skillful means drawn by the strong force of compassion, may I clear the darkness from the minds of all beings with the points of the path as I have discerned them. May I uphold Buddha's teachings for a very long time. With my heart going out with great compassion, in whatever direction the most precious teachings have not yet spread or want spread have declined, may I offer the treasure of happiness to aid all sentient beings. May the minds of those who wish for liberation be granted bounteous peace, and the Buddha's deeds be nourished for a long time by following the complete graduated path of enlightenment and the wondrous virtuous conduct of the Buddhas and their sons. May all human and non-human beings that eliminate adversity and make things conducive for practicing the excellent paths never be parted in any of their lives from the purest path praised by the Buddhas. Whenever someone makes effort to act in accordance with the tenfold Mahayana virtuous practices, may he always be assisted by the mighty ones, and may oceans of prosperity spread everywhere. Dagi Jini Zabe Gewati Tendan Roa Kuna Kampenda Chebara Chetsun Losan Trabayi Tembe Nimbo Rindu Seje Sho Kari Rave Kurve Shinkande Pendan Dewa Malu Jongwe Jele Sewan tenzin gyatso yi shabe siden bardu tengyur chik jambe bawo jidar kemba dong kundu zambo de yang de shin Teta kunji jizu dalo jir gewa teta tamji radu ma Luzun shebe gewa tamji ki mawa kanda chodu ngaba Dagi gewe zawa dikun kya zambo cheche radu mawa rije Jansho semcho rinpo che mage bana ge gireche Deva nyamba meba yama kone kondu bebar yo.
I dedicate whatever virtues I've ever collected for the benefit of the teachings and of sentient beings, and in particular for the essential teachings of Venerable Losang Drakpa to shine forever. In the land encircled by snowy mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful generous tins and counsel, please remain until cyclic existence is ended. Just as the brave Manjushri and Samantabhadra too realize things as they are, also I dedicate all these merits in the best way, that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these roots of virtue with the dedication praised as the best by the victorious thus gone ones of the three times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds. May the supreme jewel Bodhicitta that has not arisen rise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish, but increase more and more. Thank you.
可以下手，你出过，你下手，
你说
可不可？
就咱们马上，
等下来拍了些那个，
绝溜溜的是，我这机会做啥？他这个是，
嗯。
哦，有钱了。